another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Michelle. For the next hour, I will be reading from the July 19th issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Cover story: a week's worth of WKBW TV. What our TV critic learned: the good, the bad, and the ugly. I watched almost 18 hours of news on 6 WKBW TV, Channel 7, daily weekday newscasts during the week of July 6th. Check that. There essentially was about an hour of daily news combined in the 6 a.m., noon, 5 p.m., 5:30, 6, and 11 newscasts. The overwhelming takeaway from watching a full week of the newscasts on the station owned by EDW Scripps Company is how little news of substance there is any day in the summer in Western New York to fill several programs of 30 minutes to an hour, counting time for advertisements. You need to watch only one of the 6 daily newscasts to see just about every bit of news. The concentration on a full week of newscasts was designed to see things one misses by watching occasional newscasts on the station. I plan to give WGR TV Channel 2 and WIVB TV Channel 4 newscasts a full week of viewing down the road. Here are my Channel 7 findings, including the good, the bad, and the ugly. The days of attention-getting eyewitness news are long gone, as Channel 7's presentation is more low-key these days. However, an overwhelming amount of coverage concerns crime stories, tragedies, and the aftermaths. It was partly understandable in the July 6th week of coverage, since it followed 12 people being shot in 6 locations in the city of Buffalo over July 4th weekend, as well as shootings in Niagara Falls that led to the deaths of 2 young adults. The aftermath of the shootings was covered throughout the week, often with recycled video footage and stories that incrementally advanced the story and eventually led to naming the suspected promoter of a street takeover Buffalo police were seeking. To Channel 7's credit, the newscast did address some important issues related to the shootings. The head of the police union said morale was low because of the lack of staffing and the delay in new contract negotiations, which was disputed by Mayor Sean Ryan and his staff. The reports also humanized the Niagara Falls shooting victims, who deserve to be more than just statistics. The week of crime stories also included a report on the sentencing of a man from Ireland for murdering a Western New York woman in Hungary almost 2 years ago. It included remembrance of the victim from 2 friends. Channel 7 did a strong job putting in perspective the shameless attempt by a group of suburban Republican politicians to hold a news conference to exploit the Independence Day weekend shootings and claim crime is out of control. On his 5:30 program, Voices, anchor reporter Michael Wooten shared statistics showing crime has gone down, with a few exceptions. The station also aired an interview with Mayor Sean Ryan, who cleverly threw the issue back in the faces of the Republicans by noting the recent homicides in their communities. Wooten's program is the best of the newscasts, primarily because he gets more time to focus on community issues beyond crime, with longer interviews than those that appear on regular newscasts. However, less important crime stories also were covered during the week, primarily because crime is the easiest thing for stations, especially short-staffed stations, to cover. Channel 7 has the smallest news staff and the fewest number of newscasts in town, which leads to major differences with its competitors. Jeff Russo was the solo anchor on the majority of late afternoon, early evening, and the 11 o'clock weekday newscast, as he has been since co-anchor Leah Lando was let go. When Russo, who was a solid low-key anchor, had a day off, morning anchor Ed Dranch, regular 1 p.m. anchor, Fabian Casshon, and Derek Heil went solo. Scripps doesn't seem to value anchors or consistency as much as its competitors. Aaron Minkowski doubles as the morning meteorologist and traffic reporter, which isn't a heavy lift, considering how little traffic there generally is at 6 a.m. weekdays. Of course, weather is a big part of the newscast, with meteorologists appearing three times in the same newscast to say the same thing in a different way. It's a time filler. Sometimes it's hard to tell if evening meteorologist Autumn Lewandowski is giving a live weather report. If she isn't on the set to engage in happy talk with the anchor, the report is likely pre-recorded. When morning co-anchors Katie Morris and Drance take a day off, the one remaining anchor is solo. They have decent chemistry, but the occasional forced attempts of happy talk humor aren't missed when they go solo. There isn't much new news in the early morning. The summary in the final 10 minutes of the hour program is all you need to hear. There's also a story about a monster truck drive performance at KeyBank Center that seemed like an advertisement before an actual commercial for it aired. There were also daily segments promoting the taste of Buffalo. It was hard to tell whether they were paid segments. Julia Soleri showed up to promote weekend activities. She's identified as a digital content producer on the station's website. The noon newscast, typically anchored by one of the morning co-anchors, essentially is worthless after 12:15. The final 15 minutes are filler material, including a report from the new Mr. Food. With the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres not playing games, sports coverage was practically shut out. Anchor reporter Don Tibbetts did a couple of strong recorded features, including one on two local players drafted by a women's professional hockey league. But there weren't any daily results in sports in a week that the World Cup and Wimbledon were played. Tibbetts only was on the set live a few times during the week, which indicated most of his reports were pre-recorded. A 30-minute newscast often ends in time for 3 to 4 minutes of commercials to run before the next program airs. You would think a minute or two of that time could be used for sports results. The way Channel 7 Street Sports almost seems like a crime. Streaming. Stay on the pitch. Pictures. Can't get enough of soccer? Take the game into extra time with these movies and documentaries. By Katie Walsh. The World Cup has brought renewed interest to soccer this summer for many U.S. fans, especially with games spread across North America and rowdy international fans bringing some levity and joy. World Cup fever has taken over the globe, as it does every 4 years, so if you're looking for something to watch in between matches or after the global tournament ends, here are some related movies and series to keep feeding the soccer obsessed. U.S. Against the World, 4 years with the men's national soccer team, streaming on HBO Max. Even though the U.S. is out of the tournament after its loss to Belgium, you can watch the team's run-up to this year's World Cup with HBO Sports docuseries, U.S. Against the World, 4 years with the men's national soccer team. This 5-episode docuseries, directed by Rand Gatlin and Luke Corville, chronicles the team's journey to the 2026 tournament. That journey might now be over until the next cup, but it's fascinating to watch and get to know the players' life stories in more detail. Diego Maradona, streaming on HBO Max. There are more international legends and their stories to take in, too, if you want to really demonstrate your knowledge of the game. Also streaming on HBO Max is Diego Maradona, a documentary about the legendary Argentinian player, directed by Oscar-winning director Asif Kapadia and constructed from the 500 hours of never-before-seen footage, focusing on his career in the 1980s, playing for Argentina and SSC Napoli. Pelé, streaming on Netflix. Maradona shared FIFA Player of the Century honors with an equally, if not more, legendary Pele, the Brazilian player whose single name is synonymous with the game and the only man to have won 3 World Cup titles. He too has his own 2021 documentary, directed by Ben Nichols and David Tryhorn, which includes archival footage, interviews with Pele and his former teammates, and looks at the 12-year period from 58 to 70 when he transformed from a young superstar to a national hero during an incredibly turbulent period in Brazil's history. Pele, Birth of a Legend, streaming on Canopy and Tubi, available to rent on other platforms. There's also a narrative feature film about the young Pele, Birth of a Legend, directed by Jeff and Michael Zimbalist, about the young street soccer star leading his country to the World Cup. Vince D'Onofrio plays his manager, Vincent Fiola, while Kevin DePaula plays a young Pele. The Two Escobars, streaming on Tubi. The Zimbalist brothers also made a soccer documentary with the 30 to 30 doc, The Two Escobars, which draws parallels between Colombians, notorious drug trafficker Pablo Escobar, and soccer star Andre Escobar. It's a fascinating film about sports, culture, crime, and politics. Next Goal Wins, streaming on Tubi, is available to rent on Apple and Amazon. Soccer isn't just about superstars, it's about underdogs too. The 2014 documentary Next Goal Wins follows Dutch coach Thomas Rongen leading the American Samoan soccer team, turning them around from losers to winners. Directed by Mike Brett and Steve Jameson, the film is available to rent on Prime Video and Apple TV. In 2023, Taika Waititi adapted the doc into a narrative feature starring Michael Fassbender as Rongen. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the July 19th issue of the Sunday Gusto. Pictures, Sarah McClellan at Art Park. Photos by Harry Scull. Canadian singer-songwriter Sarah McLachlan brought her Better Broken tour to Art Park's main stage theater in Lewiston on Tuesday evening. The Juno and Grammy-winning musician is known for her crystal-clear voice and intimate, vulnerable delivery in songs like Building a Mystery and I Will Remember You. She also founded the Lilith Fair Tour in 1997, the most successful all-female music festival in history. A member of the Canadian Music Hall of Fame, McLachlan has sold more than 40 million albums worldwide. Things to do. A wealth of fairs and festivals and the return of Shock by Tony Roberto. If you can't get enough chainsaw carvings, a 4-H shows, midway rides, and free concerts, then we've got plenty for you to do. This is one of the busiest stretches of the summer, starting with the return of the long-running Canal Fest in a new location. After more than 40 years in the Twin Cities of Tonawanda, North Tonawanda, the multi-day family event will be held July 19th to the 25th. Begins today, Sunday, and runs through next Sunday at Gratwick Riverside Park in North Tonawanda. Canal Fest on the river will have daily music and entertainment, midway rides, games, and roaming performers. Look for a car cruise at 5:30 Wednesday, diaper derby at 6 Thursday, and a bike cruise at 5:30 Friday. Chainsaw carving is Thursday through next Sunday. A craft and vendor show starts at 10 a.m. Saturday. Hours are noon to 4 today, 4 to 11 Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 Saturday, and 11 to 9 next Sunday. For the schedule, to take and look a map for visit canalfest.org. Quaker Days Festival through next Sunday throughout the village of Orchard Park. Every July, Orchard Park celebrates summer with events held over the week under the umbrella of Quaker Days. Music fans can attend free family-friendly concerts in the Quaker Arts Pavilion, School Street, Orchard Park. Concerts starting at 7 include Fully Clothed Gents performing a Naked Ladies tribute today, Lancaster High School Carnival Kids Steel Orchestra on Tuesday, and Nickel City Pimp Choir on Thursday. The Taste of Orchard Park, 5 to 9 Wednesday, will turn North Buffalo Street at the Four Corners between Quaker Road and Speedway into a pedestrian walkway lined with more than 30 restaurants, eateries, and food trucks. Touch a Truck is from 10 to 1 today outside Manja Restaurant, North Buffalo Street. Orchard Park Police host an open house and a DARE hot dog cookout from 10 to 2 Tuesday at the Orchard Park Municipal Building, Buffalo Street. The Village Ice Cream Social is 6 to 9 Friday at the Quaker Arts Pavilion with music and fireworks. For the full events, visit everythingapop.com/Quaker Days. Genesee County Fair through Saturday at the Genesee County Fairgrounds, East Main Street, Batavia. The 197th version of this fair has what you want in a fair. Midway rides, open Tuesday through Saturday. Animals, food trucks, entertainment. Daily events include air sculpture balloon display, demonstrations, noon to and 4:45, Niagara Down Under and chainsaw carving. You'll also find the 4-H shows, horses, exhibition halls, and a demolition derby. The parade is at 6:30 today, Sunday. Chautauqua County Fair opens at 9 a.m. Tuesday at the Fairgrounds, Central Avenue, Dunkirk. For 6 days, the fairgrounds will not only host the annual fair, but 4-H Fair Week as well. Look for harness horse racing Monday, demolition derby Tuesday and next Sunday, truck and tractor pull Thursday, bull riding Friday, and a monster truck show Saturday. The fair runs Tuesday through next Sunday from 9 a.m. till 11 p.m. daily. Midway opens at 1. Schedules for both events are at the chautauquacountyfair.org. Drive-In Terrors, Evil Dead, double feature. Gates open at 8 Thursday at the Transit Drive-In, South Transit Road, Lockport. Thursday Night Terrors moves to the drive-in to celebrate the 45th anniversary of South Raimi's original The Evil Dead, starring the one-of-a-kind Bruce Campbell as Ash. It's paired with the 4th installment in the franchise, the 2013 reimagining of Evil Dead. Galbani Italian Heritage Festival, Friday through next Sunday along Hurdle Avenue between Delaware and Virgil. Oh, there will be Italian food and plenty of it. Kids can enjoy face painting, Sicilian puppet shows, and crafts. Everyone, yes, even the Bambinos, can take part in the grape stomping happening 3 times daily. Music and other entertainment runs all day. Festival hours are 11 to 9:30 Friday and Saturday, 11 to 7 Sunday. Shocks Bass All-Stars, 7 p.m. Saturday at the Buffalo River Works, Ganson Street. This is getting to be a tradition in Buffalo. Basketball legend and Hall of Famer Shaquille O'Neal dons his alter ego as DJ Diesel for his annual touring festival of electronic music and dubstep. The Buffalo event features DJ Diesel Getter B2B, Space Laces, Infant, and Green Matter. Doors open at 7 for the 16 and older event. Cheektowaga Polish American Art Festival, Friday through next Sunday at Cheektowaga Town Park, Harlem Road. The 46th annual festival celebrates traditions, heritage through Polish music, including national polka bands, dance, food, and drink. Try hands-on cultural activities, watch cooking demos, and explore your family's genealogy. Hours are 5 to 10 Friday, noon to 10 Saturday, and next Sunday. Queen City Jazz Festival, 1 to 9 Saturday in Lafayette Square. Hosted by the Colored Musicians Club and Jazz Museum, the 22nd annual Free Festival is headlined by Cahill, Kwame Bell, and special EFX with Chili Minucci. Lawn chairs are allowed. Hilltop Festival, noon to 9 Saturday at the Holiday Valley, Ellicottville. Take the chairlift up to Spruce Lake for an outdoor event with music, 3 bands on 2 stages, food trucks, and outdoor activities such as hiking, biking, stand-up paddleboard race, and axe throwing. Quick calendar. East Side Garden Walk continues today throughout Buffalo's East Side. Jamboree in the Woods, Wednesday through Saturday at Hogorosa Campgrounds, Summit Lane in Springville. Live country music, DJ, dancing, vendors, swimming, fishing, and camping. Disability Pride Festival, 2 to 7 Friday at the Buffalo River Works, Ganson Street. Celebration of the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act has entertainment, an artist alley, speakers, children's area, and a resource and vendor tables. Garden Walk Buffalo, 10 to 4 Saturday and next Sunday throughout Buffalo. West Herd Riviera Theater, just announced. Sean Cassidy, December 1st. Back to the Future, July 22nd. Tickets on sale now. Music of Phil Collins, July 24th and 25th. The Heart of Rock and Roll, July 31st. Montgomery Gentry, August 6th. Meatloaf, August 7th. Furious, Hip Hop Legends, August 8th. Bruce Hornsby and the Noisemakers, August 11th. E.T., August 12th. Barry Manilow, August 14th. DSL, Dire Straits Legacy, August 15th. Shady, live tribute to Eminem, September 11th. REOS Savior, August 22nd. Adele, September 19th. Books. Immersed in Verse, 20 new poetry collections to add to your reading lists. Shrikant Verma Magda, classic available to American readers for the first time. This vital collection by the late Indian poet Verma, who died in 1986, was written during the late 70s period of political and national turmoil in India. In these poems, he looks back to the lost empire of the title with a vibrant blender of history and imagination. Victoria Chang, Tree of Knowledge, the much-honored poet obit and with me my back to the world, returns with a book of poems that draws inspirations from trees and works of art by Pablo Picasso, Joni Mitchell, and Hilmer of Clint. And she delivers a powerful 20-page work about the 1885 forcible expulsion of Chinese workers from Eureka, California. Warren Liu, First Contact. Liu uses humor and a chorus of voices to describe the initial encounter between the people of a coastal community and a shipwrecked crew sent to colonize new lands. Who'd be dumb enough to try to claim sand, asks one local as the struggling new arrivals attempt to establish a beachhead. Cole Svensson, Veer, the prolific National Book Award-nominated poet, returns with her 20th collection. Veer is rich with paragraph-shaped poems which careen from meditations on the nature of crows or a door that mysteriously swings open to richly observed reveries on the natural world, from fields of California wildflowers to twilight on a river. Michael Bazet, Cloud Watcher, winner of the 2025 Stern Prize. Cloud Watcher bursts with beauty, invention, and strangeness. The poems contain unexpected depth and emotion, such as an animal about a child and grandfather encountering a creature in the woods, or The Revisionist, in which a narrator restores life to those killed by gunfire. Dean Young, Creature Feature. Young, who underwent a heart transplant in 2011, died in 2022, and in this posthumous collection completes a planned trilogy that began with Shock by Shock and Solar Perplexus, lovingly assembled by his friends at Cooper Canyon. These poems include haunting lines such as "Make every exit an entrance." Ariel Herbert, Bottom Feeders. The title poem of this powerhouse collection offers a potent double-barreled burst of unflinching detail and narrative as two queer Florida teens struggle to navigate the nighttime world of swamp ranches, waterfront mansions, and burned-out trailers. The poem Alligator Fight opens with the couplet, "We were the kind of girls that brought a bat to prom, and it was simply impossible to stop reading further." Daniel Halpern, Air. Halpern finds meaning in memory and detail of the past, such as a long-gone game of catch in the San Fernando Valley or a bicycle left behind on a wet grass, its teen owner nervously approaching the door of a potential love interest. Maya C. Papa, If You Love That Lady. Papa, the author of 2 previous collections and the poetry editor for Publishers Weekly, just published a new book inspired by pre-20th century letters of love and courtship. Its poems are filled with longing and the challenging of connection, and pieces such as Dark Matter and Miles to Go throb with a hopeful ache even as things seem bleakest. Nick Martino, Scrapbook. In poems bursting with emotion and humor, Martino's debut collection is just stunning. Rifling through old photos, journals, and documents, the LA-based poet captures haunting images from the lives of his parents, including a stop along the highway with his mother and a visit to his father in prison, and finds meaning in clever repetition, and even as a piece of design. Scrapbook is a beautiful thing. Amy Nishankantale, Night Owl. The author of the much-praised collection World of Wonders and Praise of Fireflies, Whale Sharks, and Other Astonishments, returns with a book of poems that investigate the nighttime, tracking all that can happen in the darkness between sunset and sunrise. And as before, Nishankantale writes about the natural world with glorious curiosity and grace. Karen Soley, Wellwater. Soley has won major awards for her poetry in this latest collection, which, though entirely beside the point, has a lovely cover. Burst with a wonderful work, a poem about the knee-weakening wisdom of a child, or lovingly remembered landscapes they were, at the same time also tainted with pesticides and toxins. Chelsea Minnie's Opera Fever. Lest you think that opera fever sounds too frosty and high-toned for a modern reader, this delight-filled collection from Minnie's is hot with steamy come-ons and a fun romanticized evoked by B-movie details, which span from conga lines and wall safes to a bed covered in partygoers' coats and a painting with eyes that move. Maggie Smith, A Suit or a Suitcase. Best-selling author, host of the poetry program The Slowdown, and one of the most popular poets working, Smith has a gift for rendering feelings drawn up from the depths in language that is immediately accessible and understandably demonstrated in her best-known work, Good Bones. This book's study and suitcase are examples of Smith at her best. Kazim Ali, The Man in 119. A professor of literature at the University of California, San Diego, Ali found the title of his latest collection in a line in a 10,000 Maniacs song, as well as the number on the door of a hospital room. Written in the wake of his mother's passing, this collection, whose inspirations include Homer and REM, explores love, mortality, and the afterlife. Jory Graham, Killing Spree. The Pulitzer Prize-winning 16th book of poetry explores how humans navigate the world, even as we destroy it through both our actions and our inactions. These poems, spare and sometimes desolate, teem with harsh realities and unadorned truths. Leontia Flynn, Selected Poems. Drawing from 5 previous published books of poetry, this collection is a wonderful introduction to this Irish poet who composes poems that witness the rumble and jumble of an evolving Belfast, as well as giving praise to ancient artifacts such as the floppy disk. How young it is to be so obsolete. D.S. Waldman, Atria. In this debut collection, Waldman offers a variety of forms and approaches to his poetry, such as a narrative about making paintings after a sibling's death 3 years ago, or a stoned afternoon with friends gazing at the ocean in Point Reeves. Keith Jarrett's Colon concert recorded, and the work of other visual artists, often recurring inspiration. Khalib Femi Poor. This collection, first published in 2020, has been reissued this year, and its powerful mix of poetry and photography demonstrates why the affecting work of the writer, photographer, and TV director not only won awards, but also the praise of the acclaimed writers such as Max Porter and Bernardine Ernesto. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the July 19th issue of the Sunday Gusto. Television. Dishing the Truth. Friends help a blogger after her husband dies in Jennifer Garner's 5-Star Weekend by Bruce Miller. When Jennifer Garner went to Nantucket to film the 5-Star Weekend, she made a point to sample the food, explore the beaches, and live the life of a native. I went to the Whaling Museum 3 times, she admits. Nantucket embraced us, and we embraced it. We got a month in Nantucket. It was almost like this little vacation. Based on the book by Ellen Hilderbrand, the 8-part limited series follows Hollis, a food blogger, who invites friends from various times in her life to help her deal with the death of her husband. As they remember good and bad, sometimes the 5 women learn plenty about themselves. Jenna Chan, who plays Gigi, an online friend, says it's important to give friends a bit of grace even if time has passed. There's never a wrong time to pick up the phone and just give them a call and be like, I've missed you. I'm thinking of you. That's the beauty of those friendships. You can pick up where you left off, Jan says. While the friends are curious about the makeup of the weekend, they understand the need to reconnect. Garner plays the blogger who knows how to pull together a sumptuous spread and engage her friends. We ate a lot of food that made us happy, says Darcy Carden, the friend from Hollis' mother years. Garner was just as one might expect, a textbook host. When Gemma and I came to LA, she made us lunch, Carden said. For me, that would be like ordering from your favorite taco place. No, she whipped up a gorgeous chicken salad and she was casually chatting all the way through. I would be super stressed. In the mini-series, gorgeous meals filled the table. Stunning clothes made the actors look like celebrities, and Hollis's home was so well appointed. You felt like you were having this super elite experience, Garner says, but at the same time, you're still human. Why am I not perfect? None of us are. We're all kind of a mess, and we're constantly getting through whatever we're messy about. Chloe Savini, who plays the friend from childhood, says she could relate to all the characters. Thanks to the series, she says, I have to prioritize my friendships because you have to make time to maintain. The five, including Regina Hall, who plays Hollis's friend from her college years, weren't certain how the shoot would go, considering they hadn't worked together before the 5-star weekend. Everyone was quick to say, oh, 5 women. What's that going to be like, Garner says. We'd paid Pictionary with our beautiful director on day 1, and that was it. When the grips and electricians were setting up the shoots, we were back there spilling the tea, getting deep, getting personal right away, she says. The friendships grew and prompted talk of a second season of 5-star weekend. At the end, everybody's in a new chapter and they've opened a door, Carden said. It feels like the world is our oyster. A second season? Let's go somewhere. Greece sounds good. Italy sounds great. Mexico, south of France. That sounds like season 234 to me. And the one who brought them all together. Hollis is in a place where she's ready to grow, Garner says. She's had herself reflected at her from her friends from different decades of her life. I would love to see where her romantic life goes. Taste. At Desiderios in Hamburg, familiarity is timeless. Restaurant notes. 2 Italian restaurants opened this year with the goal of being familiar. Desiderios, a descendant of Cheektowaga's Desiderios, circa 68 to 89, opened in January in the village of Hamburg. In June, the new owners opened Santisarios, one of Buffalo's oldest restaurants, in the same Niagara Street house where it's lived for 104 years. Santisarios is especially familiar. Same menu, same lack of drip coffee, same looks like the black and white photo charm. It's like a restored painting that lost its yellow varnish. Neither restaurant wants to break the formula that brought their predecessor success. Why should they? Attention rewards the novel, sure, and food experiences are in. But Italian and Italian-American food are timeless. Just look across the border at the restaurant House of Parm. It comes from a superstar, Fort Erie chef Matty Matheson, who's one of the most famous figures in today's food world, and it's all chicken parm, meatballs, carbonara, and tiramisu. The Desiderio brothers, Rob and Tom, say they're not doing anything out of the ordinary for their family in Hamburg. This is their first restaurant, but they've been working at their father's Cheektowaga restaurant, Bobby J's since they were 15. Their uncle owns Linguini's in Bowmansville. Their grandfather opened the original Desiderios nearly 60 years ago. But their Desiderios at 61 Buffalo Street has its own character. The base is undeniably fresh, inheriting good bones from the well-regarded farm-to-table restaurant Carte Blanc. Carte Blanc lasted almost a decade. It opened around the same time as another hip Hamburg restaurant, The Grange, which is still going steady a few hundred feet away. The Grange, time it's a flat circle, had taken over Tina's Italian Kitchen, a beloved 34-year-old Italian-American restaurant, the kind of place you'd visit for pasta fazool. All that is to say, there's a precedent for Desiderios as both a traditional Italian restaurant and a chic date night spot. Pasta fazool, except this one is pasta frigoli, is on the menu at Desiderios as a brothy tomato-based bowl of beans, vegetables, and pasta rings. The rest of the menu, which fits on one oblong laminated page, is both Italian-American and authentic Italian. The Desiderios are trained in local Italian-American favorites, but Rob Desiderio also trained at Erie Community College Culinary School and spent a few months cooking on Italy's Amalfi Coast. On a recent evening, Desiderio's dining room glowed with Cher Horowitz approved lighting as sunlight poured in from the many floor-to-ceiling windows. Tables were full, bar stools were taken, patio also full and looked nice, tucked away in an alley. Everyone was dressed for summer vacation. A pretty coordinated display of dry-fit polos and paisley skirts, shawls, and capris. Bread and butter slides on the table without you asking for it or needing to pay extra, a dying art. Pasta frigoli shares an appetizer section with other Italian-American favorites, such as a Desiderio classic, stuffed artichoke, and stuffed banana peppers. The stuffed banana peppers looked artful, lined up like a charred horns under a demure basil leaf, stuffed and bursting with seasoned ricotta, a creamy foil to the pepper's natural heat. Bruschetta was light and bright, a smear of ricotta, slivers of juicy grape tomatoes and drizzled balsamic over plush and toasted 18-mile bakery bread. Crisp Caesar salad, one of the 3 salad choices, features house-made dressing, toasted breadcrumbs, and a few optional anchovies for an additional $3, salty bombs that make the dish. The menu is pasta forward, and the pasta is often either imported from Italy or for an upcharge made in the kitchen. You can watch it get made in a satisfying video on Instagram. Also, there's gluten-free pasta can be substituted in any dish. Pasta takes a back seat in only a couple of entrees, such as the shareable 24-ounce bone-in ribeye steak Florentine over a bed of rapini greens and manicotti. Manicotti with the house-made crepes is a staple at their family restaurants. Plush crepes swaddle whipped ricotta. 2 baseball-sized meatballs sit in between. All 4 elements get a red sauce bath and halo of melted mozzarella. Cacio di pepe, a simple Roman specialty translating to cheese and pepper, arrives as a mountain of house-made spaghetti, freckled with toasted black pepper and swimming in a velvety pecorino romano emulsion. For protein via fried chicken, crispy chicken cutlet can be added to any pasta and comes out on its own plate, sliced into strips like a loaf of bread and under a half-inch of shaved cheese. Desserts include a thick cocoa-coated hunk of tiramisu with refreshing coffee-drenched ladyfingers and a classic cannoli, bookended with chocolate chips on one side and crushed pistachio on the other. Desiderio brings traditional Italian-American food back to the village of Hamburg. There's no twist, no new invention, but quality doesn't need to flourish. Food events. News TV critic Alan Pergament and I will interview Chef Darian Bryan, winner of the Next Level Chef, and Larkinville restaurateur from 5:30 to 6:30, July 27th in Larkin Square, Seneca Street. The talk is open to the public and free. Brian will discuss his experience on the Next Level Chef and his recent restaurant opening, Reserve Steakhouse. Build a Bowl. This no-cook fix for hot days features chicken noodles and crisp vegetables by Susan Solansky. Letting someone else do the cooking is the go-to when it's too hot to cook, and now's a good time to pick up an already seasoned and cooked rotisserie chicken to use as a base for a quick meal. This bowl is decked with cooling vegetables and is protein-packed, served in a bowl. The only cooking requirement is heating some water in the microwave. The peanut ginger sauce can be adjusted to your own taste, and you'll likely find other uses for it. It's easy peasy. Chicken and noodle bowl with peanut ginger sauce. 1/2 cup of creamy peanut butter. 4.5 tablespoons of fresh lime juice. 3 tablespoons of tamari or reduced sodium soy sauce. 3 tablespoons of honey. 2 tablespoons of chopped ginger. 2 teaspoons of sesame oil. 1/4 of a teaspoon of red pepper. 3 tablespoons of rice vinegar. 1/4 of a teaspoon of kosher salt. 1 teaspoon of fish sauce, optional. For the chicken and the noodles, 8 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, 1 tablespoon of kosher salt, 6 ounces of round, not flat, rice noodles or favorite noodles, 3 cups of shredded cooked chicken, 3 cups of shredded Napa cabbage, 1.5 cups of halved and thinly sliced cucumbers, 1.5 cups of matchstick carrots, 1.5 cups thinly sliced red pepper, 6 tablespoons of chopped lightly salted dry roasted peanuts or cashews, chopped, 3 large green onions thinly sliced. To make the sauce in a food processor or blender, process all the sauce ingredients until smooth. Taste and adjust the seasoning and spices to taste. Prepare the chicken noodle bowl. Microwave water in a large bowl on high for 10 minutes. Stir in the vinegar and salt into boiling water. Add the noodles and let stand until softened, about 5 minutes. Drain the noodles or prepare noodles according to package directions. Divide the noodles, the chicken, the cabbage, the cucumber, celery, and bell peppers among 6 bowls. Top each bowl with 1 tablespoon of peanuts and 2 tablespoons of the sauce. Garnish with green onions if desired. Serve remaining sauce. A little sizzle. Flank steak and chiquitos were made for summertime by Brianna Colleen. This flank steak recipe comes together easily on a baking sheet, but if you're itching to take it outside, fire up the grill instead. Just be sure to use a grill basket for the peppers so you don't end up chasing them around the grates, or worse, losing them to the fire. Sweet and peppery flank steak with chiquitos. 1 tablespoon of light brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of ground pepper, 3/4 teaspoons of kosher salt, divided, 1 pound of flank steak trimmed, 1 pound of chiquito or mini bell peppers, 1 tablespoon of sesame oil plus divided, 1 teaspoon of rice vinegar, 1 scallion minced. Position rack in upper third of the oven. Preheat the broiler to high. Line a rimmed baking sheet with foil. Combine the brine sugar, the pepper, and the salt. Pat the steak dry. Then rub the brown sugar mixture on both sides. Placed on the prepared pan. Toss peppers with 1 tablespoon of oil in a large bowl. Scatter the peppers around the steak. Broil, flipping the steak and stirring the peppers once halfway through to an instant read thermometer reaches 145. Meanwhile, whisk the vinegar, the scallion, and the remaining teaspoon Transfer the steak to a clean cutting board and let rest. Add the peppers and the other juices from the steak back to the bowl and toss to coat. Slice the steak against the grate and serve with peppers. You've been listening to reading of articles and features from the July 19th issue of the Sunday Gusto from the Buffalo News. Your reader has been Michelle. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the front section of the Sunday Times. At 2 o'clock, we have the New York Times Opinion section. And at 3 o'clock, we have the New York Times Arts and Leisure section. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. If you're listening to this publication online, you're probably using our website, a podcast player like Spotify or iTunes, a streaming service like Siro, or a smart speaker. Did you know that we now have a dedicated app that can be downloaded to any mobile device, like a smartphone or tablet, for free? App users can conveniently access our live stream and any episode of our podcast easier than ever. To download the app, just type NFRRS in the search window in the Apple App Store or in the Google Play Store. Contact us anytime if you have any questions by calling 716-821-5555, extension 5. Thank you. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As of this year, our agency has broadcast more than 300,000 hours of radio readings. Volunteer radio readers read newspapers, magazines, and books to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading broadcasts from studios at 1199 Harlem Road in suburban Buffalo. Please let others know about Radio Reading. It's your service. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes reading, holding